between 50 and 68% of women have faked an orgasm at some point in their lives. That number has been consistent across studies for decades. And for most of that time, the scientific community's explanation for why was essentially to protect their partner's feelings. That explanation is not wrong, but it is nowhere near the full story. And the full story, once you see it, changes how you understand human sexuality, human relationships, and the hidden architecture of how we keep the people we want close to us. This is not a simple social behavior. It is an evolutionary strategy, and the science behind it is far stranger and far more interesting than anyone expected. Let's start with the number that makes no sense on the surface. If a behavior produces no pleasure and involves active deception, why would it persist across centuries, across cultures, across every demographic studied? Evolution has no patience for behaviors that don't serve a function. If faking orgasm were truly just a polite lie with no deeper logic, it should have faded out. It hasn't, which means it's doing something. The first function researchers identified is the most obvious one: mate retention. A study published in a peer-reviewed journal surveyed over 450 women in long-term relationships and found a direct statistical link between faking orgasm and concern about a partner's potential infidelity. Women who reported higher anxiety about their partner straying were significantly more likely to fake orgasm, not less. The behavior wasn't about ending bad sex or sparing feelings. It was about signaling something, specifically signaling satisfaction, attachment, and emotional investment to a partner whose loyalty felt uncertain. Think about what that signal actually communicates. A partner who appears deeply satisfied is a partner who has a reason to stay. In the evolutionary calculus of pair bonding, where maintaining a committed partner provided enormous survival advantages, particularly for women raising young children who required years of intensive care, the signal of sexual satisfaction carried real strategic weight. A partner who believed the relationship was deeply rewarding was a partner less likely to look for alternatives. Faking orgasm in this framework is not dishonesty, it is communication. Just a form of communication your conscious mind didn't write. But there's a second function, and this one is even more counterintuitive. Some women report faking orgasm not to deceive, but to enhance their own experience. Research consistently identifies a subset of women who fake responses precisely because the performance itself increases their own arousal and engagement. The act of expressing intensity creates intensity. This is consistent with what psychologists call self-perception theory. The idea that we don't just feel things and then express them, we also read our own expressions and feel accordingly. Performing pleasure, in some cases, generates it. This means the same behavior, faking orgasm, serves completely opposite functions in different people, sometimes in the same person in different situations. Some do it to end an experience they don't want to be in. Some do it to hold on to a partner they're afraid of losing. Some do it to deepen an experience they're already enjoying. Now here's where evolutionary psychology gets genuinely strange. If women fake orgasm as a mate retention strategy, evolution would predict that men would eventually develop counter-adaptations to detect it. And there's evidence suggesting exactly this. Research indicates that men are moderately accurate at detecting whether their partner has faked. Better than chance, though far from perfect. One study found significant disagreement between partners, with some men reporting their partner never faked, while their partner reported faking consistently, but the moderate detection rate itself is telling. It suggests an ongoing evolutionary arms race between the signal and the ability to read the signal, neither side winning decisively. Men who place high importance on their partner's satisfaction and interpret that satisfaction as a signal of loyalty tend to be more invested in detecting authenticity, which creates exactly the kind of selection pressure that would maintain faking as a strategy. If detection were perfect, the strategy would stop working and disappear. If detection were impossible, there would be no pressure to make the signal convincing. The fact that detection sits somewhere in between is precisely what keeps both sides of this dynamic in play. There's a third layer that almost never gets discussed in popular coverage of this topic. The orgasm gap, the well-documented finding that women in heterosexual encounters reach orgasm significantly less often than men. does not appear to the same degree between women in same-sex relationships. Research has consistently found that women in relationships with other women have substantially higher rates of orgasm than women in heterosexual relationships. The specific behaviors most associated with female orgasm in the data, deep kissing, manual stimulation, oral sex, are more reliably present in same-sex encounters, partly because both partners share a more intuitive understanding of the female sexual response. This matters for the faking discussion because it suggests that a significant portion of faking is a response to a structural mismatch. Not a deliberate deception, but a workaround for a system that wasn't well designed to produce the result it's officially supposed to produce. The incentive to fake exists partly because the alternative, openly addressing what isn't working, carries social risk that many women have been conditioned to avoid. Expressing dissatisfaction feels threatening to the relationship. Faking does not. So what is faking orgasm, really? It is a behavior serving multiple simultaneous functions: reinforcing pair bonds, managing relationship anxiety, occasionally enhancing personal experience, and navigating a social environment where honest sexual communication has historically carried costs. It is not weakness. It is not simple dishonesty. It is the output of a system, biological, psychological, social, that has been optimizing for relationship stability and personal safety for hundreds of thousands of years. The behavior is this old because the problems it solves are this old. And understanding that doesn't make the behavior disappear, but it does make it legible. Your body is running strategies your conscious mind never wrote. Most of them are solving problems that stopped being relevant thousands of years ago, but they are still running, quietly, in the most intimate corners of human life. Which is why understanding the science of human sexuality is not just interesting. It is one of the most honest ways to understand what we actually are.